this past week, we've missed a lot of Gilmore Girls actor stuff. I don't know. I was going to say Gilmore Girls content, but it's not really Gilmore Girls. It's just the actors, but it is because it's reunions. So were you aware is the question?
Yes.
You were aware that you've missed stuff.
Why are we even trying to force this charade? Obviously not.
No.
No.
I figured you might not have known. There was an I'm All In podcast live show this past week, which I wanted tickets for, and I may have asked for Christmas, but it's fine. It's fine. I don't know. It must have gotten lost in the mail. Santa forgot to bring it. I don't know. Forgot. But there were remote
all right,
tickets.
Little Miss Faruka Salt. You can't have everything at all times.
Well, there were remote tickets, which were very affordable. They were only like $20, and you could see. Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. Santa forgot. But there was also this interview that I saw that Luke did, Scott Patterson, where he gave his theory of like where the characters are now. And I don't know if it was promoting that or if it was promoting his show, because he has a new show with the guy who plays Tristan, Chad Michael Murray. People didn't know. Sullivan's Crossing. Regardless, I don't know what it was for. But I needed to know your thoughts on his theory, because I have thoughts and I have not seen anybody talk about my thoughts. So I need to know if we agree. So,
okay.
I'm Shay.
I'm Tyler.
And this is Oi with the Pot Already. We are discussing the Rory's Birthdays episode and apparently some theories before we get into it. Okay, so to confirm, you have not seen the clip from Scott Patterson talking about the backstories of the actors and like where he thinks like Rory is going to be and Jess is going to be and Luke and Lorelai. You haven't seen this, right?
Darling, I just want to establish that I don't actually keep up to date on any of this stuff.
I just want to be clear so that this is all
no, like
new
obviously
to you.
no. I don't eat, sleep, and breathe Gilmore Girls. It's
You
not
should.
my.
You should. Okay, so you haven't, and we haven't talked about it. So all of this is going to be brand new right here, right now, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going to play the clip, and then if editing Tyler needs to fix audio, just put the clip. Yeah, there you go. You're welcome, editing Tyler.
Luke and Lorelai, where would they be in 2024?
We've got a couple of kids now. That's the big surprise, even in their old age. And they don't regret it. And Jess has come back into the fold. He's their nanny. He runs a gym. He opened up the Stars Hollow gym. Rory's back, and she's running the Stars Hollow Gazette. She's doing a lot of articles on the gym and on old people having kids.
All right, so what do you think?
Question.
Yeah, I love questions.
He spent however many years on this show, and he knows less than I do somehow. How is that possible that he's so wrong on every single person's character arc? How is that possible? Explain that to me to make it make sense.
Well, to start with, I listen to a lot of rewatch podcasts, and it's very true that the actors don't actually remember the show. But Scott Patterson has almost finished the rewatch. He's on like the last season right now in his rewatch podcast, so he's seen all the episodes. So
his excuses have gone out the window. He should know.
I feel he does know the backstory. So which one is the most surprising to you, or like the most wrong? I guess if you're saying they're wrong.
I can't imagine a career path less in character for Jess than one being a nanny. He does.
No, you don't see Nanny Jess?
No, he's not Tony Danza.
You know.
Two.
I mean, they both have the look. They have the same look. Doesn't Tony Danza wear a leather jacket?
Regardless, he is not going to be the nanny. Second off, if you were to ask me, gun to my head, who is going to open a gym in Stars Hollow, Jess doesn't make the list.
What is it going to be, Kirk?
No, it's going to be Dean, obviously.
Okay.
Dean. It's 100% Dean.
Pumping iron right now, and I'm not seeing it.
No, it's Dean. It's irony Kirk because he has all of the jobs, but it would be Dean.
It would, yeah. I mean, I actually don't think any of them really fit that bill. I don't think any of them really kind of strike me as gym buffs. I don't know. Just doesn't happen. But Jess, no. Like, Jess would have opened a bookstore, like, because he did, in the show, or he would have been, he did a publisher. He was an indie publisher, which totally fits. Or some other, like, maybe like a album store, like, like the retro album stores
something hipster.
Yeah.
Something hipster, books, music, or just like even a coffee shop is more in character for Jess than
like a hipster coffee shop. Like
Well, yeah.
the ones that have
The-
like
the
the
pre-
really cool like frappuccinos
like
or
the drip where you put the cup under the filter. Like
Yeah.
it's something so
it has a latte art.
it's it's obviously pretentious past being pretentious.
Open mic night.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Okay. We're together. What about Luke and Lorelai having kids?
I mean that's
in their
fine.
age.
That's totally fine with that.
You're fine with the older age having
Yeah.
kids? Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we have to.
That makes sense. That works.
we need to be. We're getting up there. And then he said Rory was working for Stars Hollow Gazette.
I mean, I can see that.
See, I don't know because she didn't seem super thrilled about that. And you haven't seen A Year in the Life, so we'll get.
I
there,
have not
but-
seen anything. I know some of the things, spoilers, have been spilled by other people.
Spilled
No,
spoilers.
not you. I'm talking literally other people from FanFest have kind of let it drop
Let the cat out of the bag, as they say.
because everyone assumed that I was caught up in it. That's my fault. It's my fault. That's my
yeah.
fault.
It's fair.
But I can see that happening, but it's not a great fit. But
it's definitely better than Jess at a gym.
yeah, I don't think there's a worse pairing that you could hypothesize. Hypothesize.
Were you gonna say hypothecate? Because that's what it sounded like.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to get your thoughts on that. I'm curious if anybody else saw that clip, what you guys thought. The comments didn't seem to be calling that out at all. They were like, "Oh my god, you know everything about the characters," and I was just like, "Am I alone? Like, what's going on?" So just
Do I know the characters?
did I watch the same show? Yeah, but so let's get into the episode since I'm
looking at my
us.
medical dictionary. I'm at the word aneurysm. I'm thinking I've had one.
How Emily of you.
Yeah.
Very, very good callback. Okay, so we're getting back into the episode. This is our second episode covering Rory Gilmore's birthdays. And we started at about 10 to 11 minutes, somewhere in that
Somewhere in
range. And we start off with Lorelai going into Luke's and Luke saying to Lorelai, "Will you marry me?" So let's start there. First of all, what did you think about that scene? Because obviously, in my opinion, it was a wink to the people that are kind of like seeing that chemistry.
Well, I was going to ask you that. Or do you think that it's a wink to that, or do you think they're still testing what they have? Because this is still very early on in the show. They could be crowd testing that future storyline.
They could be, but I mean, we know later in this same episode, Emily says something to Lorelai about like Luke likes you, like he's looking at you like a porterhouse steak, I think is the words, but I'm not 100% sure. So like, it feels like the writers now know that like this is going to be, they might not know it's going to be the end game, but they know it's going to be a thing. So I feel like that, but I'm not sure. I mean, obviously we'd have to ask Scott Patterson, like, did you get your deal signed by now? Like, are you a regular? Like, what's the deal?
Are you no longer an extra? Or are you now an established main character?
Yeah. What was the episode? Let us know. In my opinion, this is a nod to like, we know you like the chemistry, so we're going to keep you on your toes for a bit.
It's we're going to play to the obviously crowd favorite relationship right now. Like we're going to shamelessly pander because of course we are.
Of course.
So the first reference is a reference to Candy, and she's done this a few times throughout the series. I don't know if this is the first Candy reference, but it might be.
I'm not sure. I don't think so. Someone's going to be like, remember when you were talking about that thing?
We probably have talked about Candy at some point, but this is, she says, "What's up, Miss Lemonhead?" And it's a reference to Lemonheads, the candy.
Did you catch that while watching the show? Because I didn't.
I did write it down originally.
Did
In
you?
the first time, yeah.
I just wrote it off as like she's calling her a sourpuss. Like that's all it is.
And that's where it goes, because the candy makes you purse your mouth and look like you are miserable.
Have you had these? Because I've never had these.
I have not, and I'm dying to try them now.
I want to know if they're worse than Warheads, because the Warheads, isn't that the face on the Warhead packaging, or am I just missing it?
With the explosion out of the head.
But your pursed lips, right? Yeah. So now I want to try both and know which one's worse. Which one's worse, people?
It's got to be Warheads, but
I will need to.
Lemonheads sound just nice and refreshing.
So we now need to do an update of which one do we like better and which one's more sour. So great.
And then she unveils the dress that Emily bought.
Oh yeah.
From Damien's.
Jen veils the bottom of the dress, to be clear.
Yeah, lots and lots of tulle, I think is the technical term.
Yes, it is a technical term.
And then she says, "We'll make it a modern day Cinderella."
which now we know what a modern day Cinderella looks like because we have the live action with Hermione.
No, there's only one modern Cinderella. I have strong feelings on this.
All right.
It is the 1997 version, the made-for-TV movie,
Oh.
and I will not stand for
Are we
it.
talking about Whitney Houston and Brandy? Because
Yeah,
that is
obviously.
my favorite version, hands down. I just didn't think.
Yeah, that's
Oh, okay. All right. I can concede that. That is
You
my
have-
favorite.
you have
version.
to beg forgiveness from millennials for that egregious oversight.
That is my favorite version. I just assumed that we were talking about more modern, but you're right. That is the best version, and anybody who thinks otherwise is wrong. And I mean, come on, I sing the songs all of the time, so
Yes.
it's one of my favorite movies ever. Now I want to watch it while eating Lemonheads. So now I have a date night planned out. Great, good for us.
Then Luke comes over and is talking to them, and they're talking about Rory's epic parties. And they mention a specific example where Rory's 8th birthday party, the cops show up, and he's like, what do you mean the cops show up to an 8-year-old's birthday party? And they're like, yeah, they arrested the clown.
Yeah. And so when I was listening to this, I was like, I want to know more. Like, what we know about the townsfolk, I feel like this is a story that we need to hear, and they don't do it. So I think what would be fun is if we did that for them. Can we share, I don't know if you have a story, but like a version of what you think may have happened?
Well, so I have two
Oh.
competing things. So one is just a reference of what could they've been talking about.
Oh, so like a real thing.
A real
fun.
dark reference.
Oh boy.
And then the other is the alternate canon version where who do I think from Stars Hollow was the clown that got arrested?
You're going to take mine. You're going to take it. And that's so unfair, but fine.
Okay,
Go
so
on.
you go
on.
first.
No, go ahead.
So my first one is the history, and I immediately thought of a serial killer.
Oh, good. Great.
I thought of John Wayne Gacy.
Serial killer in Stars Hollow. I like it.
Well, he's known as the killer clown because he was a clown that also was a horrible monster.
And you think that he showed up at Rory's birthday party and started cannibalizing all of her guests?
No,
And they're laughing about it years later?
I just think that might have been the reference that they were going for because he was a clown.
That sounds horrifying.
Yeah.
And if that were true, they're horrible people for laughing about that years later. Just to put that out there.
Okay. Now, who do you think was the clown that got
There's
arrested?
only one answer to that question.
And-
There's only one answer. It has to be Kirk. It has to be Kirk.
See, it could be Kirk, but it could also be Taylor.
I mean, we haven't met Taylor yet in the show, but okay, indulge.
Well, Taylor very much cares about the town.
Mm-hmm.
He's got an odd fascination with Rory in certain points where he makes her the ice princess and like.
An odd fascination sounds dark. Where are we going?
Well, he would go out of his way for Rory because the entire town will. Like
In
that's
a fatherly way. Yeah.
well, that's fine.
Okay.
But
All right.
he's also going to be a bombing clown that would need to be arrested to salvage
Be
the party.
arrested for what? For ruining the fun?
I don't
The
know.
fun police showed up.
Just a noise complaint or an ordinance violation or
He'd be
something.
the one making the noise complaint. Did he make a noise complaint on himself?
Probably to get himself out of it. Yeah.
Go to the bathroom and like, hello, there's been a noise complaint. There's a clown. Who's the clown? It's not relevant. Just show up.
Yes.
Like, well,
I do think that Kirk is the most likely explanation for who got arrested.
yes.
It's gotta be Kirk.
So in my head canon, we know that Rory's birthday is in the realm of Halloween, right? Like we know that it's in October. I think it's October 13th, but in later episodes, we think it's later and it's in October. That's the point. So anyway, my headcanon is that all the townsfolk showed up in costumes for her birthday party. And some of them, Kirk was a clown. Miss Patty may have been, I don't know, a burlesque dancer. Like, they're all dressed up in costumes. And the goal was to scare a bunch of people in town because they thought it was funny. But because not everybody knows the quirkiness of Kirk and other things like that and the way that they act, they scared all of the townsfolk, and people were calling saying that people were terrorizing the neighborhood. And so Lorelai and Rory found this hilarious.
So you think Kirk was the original clown in the woods person with the baseball bat? You think that he was the terrifying person?
I think he was harmlessly trying to scare kids to be part of the fun, and they didn't know him, and he's Kirk. So
Unwittingly, Kirk is the most monstrous person in the entire show. He is the person he's the thing that goes bump in the night that you should be afraid of.
but you shouldn't be. I mean, the other alternative is I don't know, you've seen the episode where he was like the mime, like the mime.
Oh no,
makeup?
that's
Like,
that's the
that's
worst kind of clown.
yeah, so that's his costume. So there you go. That's my headcanon. What do you think?
I mean, that sounds almost as bad as the serial killer one that I brought up. So that's horrible.
Sounds
horrifying.
like a new episode that we need, is what it sounds like.
Do you know what the fear of clowns is?
Oh crap, because I have it. I used to know it.
Literally, I will stand firm on this. I think that every person in the world, rightfully so, has at least some degree of fear of clowns, because no normal, sane person is not at least a little bit uneasy around clowns.
Yeah, because one of us couldn't get through it in the drive-in. So I'm not going to say which one, but one of us has the
It
fear
is
of clowns.
coulrophobia.
Coulrophobia?
Coulrophobia.
Coulrophobia. Like C-O-L.
C-O-U-L.
C-O-U-L. Cold.
Cool.
I feel British trying to get rid of my U here. Interesting. So coulrophobia, if you didn't know, you know now. If you have fear of clowns like I do, then there you go. And fear of Kirk in that clown makeup, which I think everybody does. There you go. Now that we've gotten through that horrifying thing, we end up back at Rory and Lorelai's house.
At
And
4 in the
it's
morning.
4:03 to
Yep.
be exact. And they are laying on the bed. It's Rory's, she's going into her birthday, so it's like the night or morning before.
It's when she was actually born. So
Yes.
it's a tradition for her and her mom to be together in that exact moment on her birthday.
Yeah, bonding over her birth and, whatever, which I just got to ask, how would you feel if your mom was giving you details, like the fact that having you felt like doing the splits on a crate of dynamite? Like, how would you feel about that?
Swearing like a sailor, I really would rather.
Rather not.
Ignorance is bliss. There are certain things in your life that you could not know and be happier and better off for it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not that close to my mom to start with. Like, I wouldn't want to have those type of intimate conversations. So that really does show how close they are, I feel like, because Rory doesn't seem, she's kind of like frustrated, but in like a cute, like, oh boy, here you go again type way, but not like a I'm disgusted and I want to be removed from the situation type way. Where
It's
I
here.
would be
It's
like,
here we go
"Ew."
again. Here we go again.
Yeah.
I've heard this story every year at the same time.
Yeah.
I want to just be asleep, Mom. Why are we doing this?
Yeah, and for everybody that's seen the show before, this comes back up again, and I believe I'm not going to say who it is that comes in as the guest star, because I feel like if you haven't seen the show, that's something that's like a thing you want to see. But somebody guest stars in place of Lorelai later on, so this is not the last time you're going to hear this speech. So we're going to feel like again. But Rory says in this scene, I wonder if the Waltons did this. And I imagine you looked up the Waltons because you love all of this history type stuff, and they were definitely history for me. So what'd you find out?
It's a TV show based off a book, and it's a family that lives in rural Virginia during the Great Depression and World War II time frame.
Okay.
So it's just a classic, good-hearted kind of old show.
So like a feel-good family show?
I don't know if it's got a serious drama aspect to it
okay.
in points, but it's just that old-fashioned idealistic family values kind of show, even if it touches on serious things. One thing I do want to say, and I don't know why I think this, but one of the main characters looks like Chad Michael Murray in this show.
Tristan, one of the main
yeah,
characters.
one of them
one of the main characters of the Waltons.
Yeah.
Which one? I'm gonna have to look this up after.
It's John Boy specifically.
I've actually heard the name John Boy before, so
Yeah.
I guess I've heard references to the Waltons and didn't know it. So John Boy looks like Tristan.
Yes, I would argue
Does he
that.
act like Tristan?
I can't imagine he does, because he's a
goody two shoes.
Well, he's a poor kid from rural Virginia. So,
but he looks like him. Now
Yeah.
I need to do a side by side. Now people are going to want me to post this. So I guess that
you're going to have to,
guess
because
I have to.
I will stand by that they look similar.
Oh.
Very similar.
Now I want to stop the podcast and go look it up. So if anybody wants to pause, I give you permission to go do that. But you need to make sure you come back, because I have a deleted scene.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's actually not that exciting, but I need to bring it up because I feel like they cut it because it was too mean. I think that's the case. And so, you know how I feel about mean. So I'm going to pull that up. This was right before Lane and Rory go into Luke's, which is going to be the next scene. We have in the deleted scene, they're showing Lane and Rory walking through Stars Hollow headed to Luke's. And it says Lane gives Rory a stack of CDs, which we do see when Lane and Rory are walking into Luke's. And I kept saying, I want to know what those CDs are. Well, what Lane says is you would have gotten the new Victoria Williams CD too, but I accidentally opened it and listened to it. And I looked up Victoria Williams, by the way, and she seems really cool. She's like a rock artist.
I mean, that tracks for Lane. Yeah.
Yeah, but she ended up getting diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, and she didn't have enough money for her treatment. So really big like artists banded together to create this fund to fund her treatment, and it's still a fund alive today for people that have issues that they need funding for that are in that industry. And she's still alive and doing well. I think she's like in her 60s. But I just thought that was really cool, like that she kind of inspired it because people thought she was so talented that they wanted her to get the treatment that she needed.
That's uplifting. That's not mean so far.
No. No. So then it says the girls pass Miss Patty's. She has a bunch of tiny kids dressed up in glittery leotards and top hats and tap shoes. There she is. All right, everybody. 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Rory Lorelai. Happy birthday to you. And many more. Thank you. You're welcome, Angel Face. I'll see you tomorrow. Rory and Lane cross off towards Luke's. Miss Patty turns back to her tiny choir. Darla, honey, tell your mommy you need to get into my singing class immediately. And let's talk about that nose also. Okay, everyone, let's take it from the top.
So
I love the face. Did I do the tone right? I don't know. I'm not an actress.
Only Miss Patty could pull that off. Making fun of young children is something that very few characters can do, and it has to be done in a certain way.
Well, and also they use the name for the kid was Darla, which I don't know if it's just a millennial thing, if it's a me thing, but there's only one character that comes to mind when I hear the name Darla, and I'm hoping it's the same for you because we're both millennials. But who do we got here?
I know who you think of. It's not coming to me.
It's Little Rascals, Darla.
Yep.
Yeah, and she was a dancer. So like immediately my brain went to her and just how adorable she is, but she has a button nose. So I was like, I wonder if she's making a reference to that or if the girl's nose is too big. I don't know. But we should not be telling children that they need plastic surgery, Miss Patty. I would like to just put that out there because that's what she's saying. That's what she's saying.
On top of saying you suck at singing.
Yeah, you're terrible. You're awful. So just, yeah, I needed to put that out there because I imagine that they toned this back because they were like, okay, that was a bit far. And we can't do that on the WB and tell children they need plastic surgery. So I just wanted to put it out there. I thought it was funny. There's multiple little parts in this script for this episode that was cut, but a lot of them are just kind of like, eh. There's a reference when Lorelai and Luke are talking at the beginning of what we just discussed. And she says something like, you can wear your hat forwards to come to the party. So cute little things, but nothing that makes a big deal. But this one I felt like deserved a discussion because, whoa, that's a bit much.
That is borderline on in good taste versus very bad taste.
Would it have made you feel differently about Miss Patty if she said that out loud?
Probably. Like that's
Those
just
are your inner thoughts, Miss Patty.
Yeah. You need a filter.
Okay. So now that we've gotten through that, I wanted to do a quick thank you to someone who left us a review, if you don't mind.
Obviously not.
So we got a brand new review and I'm really excited about it. If you guys don't know, the reviews like make my entire life. Like, it does help like with, findability and all those things, but it also just makes my entire life and I get really excited about it. So a little more excited than I should be, but it's titled So Fun. It's a 5-star review. And it says, this podcast is so much fun for Gilmore Girls fans and really for anyone. I love how the hosts each have their own point of view that brings new insight to each episode. And can I just say that I've actually learned things from Tyler's love of history? Shay's knowledge about the show is so great and appreciated for a fellow rewatcher like myself. I really highly recommend this one. So,
Victory.
First of all, I'm going to make a joke that no one's going to understand because we had a previous podcast, which we've mentioned, and we had a listener?
Set more than one viewer. It was
a specific person that really loved what we had a segment called Tyler's History Minute, and I love her. But if you're a plant, we will find you, Krista. We will find you. Just want to put that out there because
so you're thinking this is a carryover
because your history. I mean, I love you, I do, but you are a nerd. And we will allow you to do more.
Yes, but my nerdism has its limits, as we previously discussed.
This is true. It does have its limits. You're not a Trekkie.
No, God, no.
And I don't know if that qualifies you. I don't know. We're going to have a discussion about this.
No.
But
And actually, I still count. It's I still squeak by in other categories.
so if you are listening and you enjoy his history, we definitely want to know that because I can give him a little bit more of a free reign because we do kind of cut it down a bit because I don't want to bore people. But if you enjoy it, do leave us reviews and let us know because he would be thrilled to just have his moments, and we will try and put more in there now that we know that people like them. So thank you very, very much. Leave reviews anywhere that you can. We will share them. We will shout you out if you ask us to. It just means the world to me. And I can't say enough good things because it made my whole week. So
All right. You're gushing a
I
little
can't
bit.
help it.
Yeah.
It's so great.
Moving back to the podcast, Lane and Rory are eating that coffee cake, and
Oh, Luke.
I want some coffee cake, and my wife and I are on a diet right now together. So everything that is sugary and sweet looks amazing.
Well, we could have cheat day. Cheat day.
It's I'm gonna need some kind of coffee cake because it's been on my mind since I've watched it, and I can't stop thinking about it.
So to set the scene, Lane and Rory walk into Luke's. They originally sit at the counter and they're with that stack of CDs and I cannot see them. So I don't know. I know she didn't get Victoria Williams, but what did she get? I don't know. If anybody knows, eagle eye viewers that could like zoom in, tell me. I don't know. But she has a stack of CDs that we now know was the gift from Lane. And Luke's like, you're at the wrong table. And Rory's like, since when do you assign tables? And he's like, since I blew up balloons for you and made you a cake. Get over there. And I'm just like, I love everything about this. Just, it's like that moment where you see him start turning from the curmudgeon to like the softie, and it's just adorable.
Oh, he's
and
always
everything.
been that softy, but it is quintessentially his character to be just shut up and accept what I did for you.
Yeah, I did a nice thing, accept it, and love it. Now, my question for you: he must have written "Happy Birthday, Rory" on the balloons after they're blown up, right? Because otherwise, it would be like all stretched out, right?
Correct.
I just picture him not having the touch to do that without popping balloons all over the place. And I picture
Sharpies aren't that sharp, dear.
I mean, you say that out loud, it sounds like they should be. But no, I've never been able to write on a balloon and not been able to pop them. And I just picture him just popping balloons all over the place.
He's not writing with a damn needle. Like, it's not that hard to write on a balloon.
Do you want to do an experiment? Because I've tried this for my sister's birthday when we were growing up. And if anyone doesn't know, she's like 13 years younger than me, so it would make sense that I was blowing up balloons. But I've done that, and I was terrible at it. Granted, I was younger, so maybe I didn't have to
You were
touch.
using a ballpoint pen, weren't you?
I don't know, maybe.
Well, there's your first mistake. You have to use a Sharpie.
What if it was a Mont Blanc?
That's a very expensive balloon popper.
It would work.
No, it would
Quite
not.
effectively.
It would
To
work.
pop the balloon, it would. But anyway, I just pictured Luke popping balloons all over the place and cursing the heavens while he was doing it.
Swearing like a sailor on leaf.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. But while they're sitting there, Dean walks in. And
Yes.
you have some thoughts about Lane in this scene, and I just think they're funny. So
She's the most oblivious friend in the history of Friends because this is not the first, the second, or the 15th time that she's done this. After describing Dean as perfect in one of the episodes, saying he's tall and perfect and clearly all about Dean
right.
because she has eyes, she then doesn't notice that her best friend is like, off in space anytime he's in the vicinity and just kind of pie-eyed and just can't focus on the conversation.
Do you think she really doesn't notice, or do you think she's trying to be respectful because she knows that Rory's not ready to let her know yet? Like she's reading the room and she's like, okay, Rory hasn't told me yet, so I'm just gonna like play it cool.
I think she's oblivious because while she is living a double life from her mom and all about music, she still is also very sheltered, more so than even Rory. And while she's boy crazy, she's oblivious. Is my headcanon. That's my thought, is that she's genuinely just not paying attention.
That's probably fair. I like to give her the benefit of the doubt that she's just being a respectful friend, but that's probably fair. Now I want to go back and talk about Dean, but just want to make sure that we don't move past the fact that Lane and Rory are talking about the fact that Rory's really upset that all of these kids are being invited to Emily's house and that she doesn't know these Chilton kids, and that she just feels like not excited about this birthday party, which is not telling Lorelai because Lorelai and Emily are getting along, the pudding, and she feels like, she doesn't want to ruin that.
It's the whole kid it feels like their responsibility to keep the good things going. Like they're going to be they're not going to be the reason that things are falling apart between their family.
Yeah, and it just reminds me of the Cinnamon's Wake episode with Lorelai, where she's holding off telling Rory about Max because she doesn't want to create a problem for her when she's just finally starting to like get into the swing of Chilton, and she doesn't want to like cause any issues. So it just kind of like models back to me that like they are a lot more alike than they like to admit, and they're not as good at communication as I like to say.
No,
they are.
they're terrible at it.
Yeah, they're really bad. Like, so I just want to say that. So back to Dean, just getting back there. You had a comment about him, which caused us to actually pause the episode and have a whole discussion. So I feel like we should bring that discussion to the podcast.
Well, it's that haircut.
It's the hair.
It's the hair. Like every male actor from this time period that you were expected to become a teen heartthrob had the same haircut, the exact same haircut, the exact same hair color. For like all of them are brunette to dirty blonde. Like it's all the same color. It's the carbon copy of every single TV show that has a teenage boy on it.
It's the swoosh hair, you know, the flip.
It's the middle part reverse mullet.
Okay, well, saying it with mullet doesn't sound good. But it's like a bowl cut almost.
It's longer in the front, shorter in the back. It's a reverse mullet.
Okay. It's really so that they can flip that hair back, or
or it gets it out of their they
hair.
put their hands through their hair and then they get it out of their eyes, and it makes them look brooding and
look dark and
mysterious and
sexy. And so I will say I was probably probably even earlier. I might have been in middle school when this episode came out. So for me, this was the look, right? So I mean, we had Ryder Strong, who played Sean in Boy Meets World.
It's that haircut, yeah.
I don't even remember what his name was, but Jonathan Taylor Thomas in Home Improvement, I don't remember his character's name, but he had that hair too. And like we were us tweens, we were all for that. And I don't know about you, but I had the pull-out posters from like Tiger Beat or Teen.
I will confess to the podcast right now. I did not, in fact, have a poster of Jonathan Taylor Thomas in my room. No,
you didn't have it on your
ceiling
to go to sleep to, like we all did. Well,
I missed that. I missed that boat in high school and middle school. Yeah,
it must have been just a little bit too many years. Yeah, I mean it's fine. I get it. I'm sure you had other pull-out posters.
I don't think I really had posters in my room. No.
Really? Did you not read magazines?
No, I did not. Yeah.
Oh, you missed a vital part of the millennial childhood. I think I need to buy you a magazine so you know what it feels like to have a pullout. I don't know if those exist anymore. Do they exist? Do pullouts exist?
Probably. I have no idea.
I wonder if people are listening to this podcast right now going, what's a pullout poster? Because that would be horrifying and make me feel old. But I know from a female perspective, we were just going crazy over the putting your hands through your hair and all of that. But from a male perspective, were you like wanting that haircut? Like, were you looking at it going like, okay, the girls like that, so like I want to do that?
Yeah, I would have wanted that if I could actually have pulled that off, but I couldn't. So
why not?
My hair wouldn't work that way.
It doesn't grow that long, or
no? When it gets that long, it gets curly. It just doesn't. It doesn't.
There are straightening irons. So I'm just saying because I don't know if you remember, but a few days ago, maybe a week ago, I don't know. There was a trend, an AI trend that went around, and it was like what you would look like in the 1930s. And yours was quite attractive. And I gotta say, it had a similar vibe. It was the longer hair that you could put your hands through. And I'm just saying, it looked pretty good on you.
Yeah, I was also clean shaven in that.
I mean, if anybody wants to see it, I still have it on my phone. Just saying. But I'm just saying, if you were interested, we could play with that.
No.
But you also have a haircut right now that you also mentioned in this episode. And since we're talking about haircuts, I figured we'd bring it up. But your haircut right now reminds me of one that you pulled out in this episode, which was
the Tristan haircut, the frosted tips, almost kind of.
To clarify, he does not.
He does not. But
tips.
it's the.
I meant you. Just didn't want anyone thinking you're sitting here.
I don't have frosted tips. I have frosted hair in general because I went gray in high school, but that's
that is fair.
Completely
different. Do people
different.
have frosted tips right now? Like, is there going to be a Gen Z person listening to this going, "What are frosted tips?" Because I don't know that I've heard that in a very long time.
Somebody has to still be rocking that and fighting the good fight, I guess.
If you need to know what frosted tips are, if that is a generational thing, I was going to say look up Justin Timberlake. He had them. That's the one that I can think of. But yeah, I don't know if it's a generational thing, so I feel a
It's
little
that
bit weird
weird
about it.
like front up haircut.
Yeah, you put like the gel in the front.
It's you have the spikes and then no.
Yeah, my guy best friend in high school he just had the front part. He couldn't grow his hair long enough, so it was just like a little wall. It just made his forehead look longer. But he thought it looked really cool, and he's still trying to put his hands through it, but there's gel in it, so it was like click. So,
Oh god.
did you do that? Did you have some kind of fun
Oh yeah,
haircut in high
I'm sure
school?
there are photos of me from middle
With
school and high
gel?
school, and yeah.
You
Oh, I'm
used
sure.
gel?
Oh yeah.
Oh, good, good, good. I really, if Tyler's mom's listening, or any of your siblings actually, you have
No.
plenty of them.
Don't
I
make
love
me
all of
destroy
you.
those pictures that my mom has saved all of them. You're
I
going to
know.
make me destroy them and
Family
ruin.
members, let me
No.
see.
Those will never see the
I
light
am
of day.
real excited for
Those
this.
will never see the light of day.
But okay, so now that we've gotten through haircuts, I just needed to bring it up because we literally stopped the episode for that. And Dean mouths happy birthday to Rory and he leaves, and it's kind of that moment of like everybody is like, ooh, we love this. Then we head back to Emily's house and we walk in, and Rory is still in her Chilton outfit. Lorelai is in her new dress thing
Yes,
that she's created.
the fixed dress.
Yeah, and that dress has some controversy online. People don't like it. First of all, I was wondering, do you think she really did fix that? Because like how I just wonder how. I'm not a seamstress, so I don't know.
So
but,
she
like,
definitely removed some of the frilliness.
she was there any tulle left?
Tulle.
Tulle. Was there any tulle left?
There was a silhouette version.
Ah.
So the tulle went all the way down in a single layer
Mm.
as like a mesh almost. And then there's the crushed velvet.
It was interesting.
Yeah.
It was like crushed velvet halfway, and then the front part was see-through, and then the back part was not see-through. It was very interesting.
Well, it was a asymmetrical, like pointed dress.
Did you like the dress?
It's fine.
Okay. So you don't agree. Everybody was like, this is horrifying. It's awful. And I will want to point out that I'm going to keep shouting them out anytime they see something I didn't see, but the annotated Gilmore Girls website noticed that the green sweater that Rory is wearing during the party was the same sweater that Lorelai wore in the Kill Me Now episode.
Oh.
So we do see that they do really share clothing, which they've mentioned. So just thought that was really cool. I didn't notice it, so wanted to shout them out. But in this scene, basically they're setting up for the party, and we get our next reference, which is Edith Wharton.
Yes. So Edith Wharton is actually another turn of the century socialite individual. So the late 1800s to the 1900s, well-to-do. Actually, she's a very accomplished writer in her own right.
Is she?
Yes, she is the first woman to win a Pulitzer Prize for fiction.
Oh, well then.
So yeah.
La-di-da. So what do you think she was referencing her for? Like, what do you think the reason is?
So she very much fought against the traditionalism of the debutante lifestyle that she was born into.
Mm.
Like she thought it was stupid and pointless and in bad taste to do that because she survived the Great Depression, and like it's not what she was envisioning for her life.
See, I found something similar from her, and I'll share what I found in a minute. But I think it's interesting because Lorelai in this scene is implying that the grandiose party is something that would have made Edith Wharton proud. She says that. So I'm curious why she would mention somebody who railed against it. Is I guess my.
Well, she very much did avail herself of some of the other perks of being a well-to-do, high society person.
Mm.
So I think on the wiki, she crossed the Atlantic over 60 to 80 times to go to Europe and other places.
I'd like to do that.
She went to Morocco, so she might have been to Fez, as it happens. Mm.
Gotta hit her up for her.
Her dad's family actually is responsible for a very well-known saying related to social status. It's keeping up with the Joneses.
Oh, I've heard that saying before.
Yeah. So if you're trying to keep up with the Joneses, you're trying to keep up with competition of having
appearances.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's her family. It comes from there.
So that's what they were doing. They were keeping up appearances for sure in this
Exactly.
episode.
Yeah.
So that's what it is. So I found an interesting tidbit that I figured I just wanted to mention. So I don't think this needs contextualizing, but Lorelai and Emily don't get along and have a bad relationship. So I think that's fair to say.
established.
Okay,
Yeah.
Good. Okay. So it says here on their wiki for one of the themes of Edith Wharton's writing, it says versions of her mother, Lucretia Jones, often appeared in Wharton's fiction. Biographer Herman Lee described it as one of the most lethal acts of revenge ever taken by a writing daughter. In her memoir, A Backward Glance, Wharton describes her mother as indolent, spendthrift, censorious, disapproving, superficial, icy, dry, and ironic. And I thought that was interesting because I feel like Lorelai
So
might
she just
have some
described Emily
similar-
Gilmore.
Yeah, I feel like Lorelai may have some similar feelings to her mother as Edith Wharton would. And I don't know if that was intended here, but I read that and I was like, oh, that feels really the same. Like it feels very similar. And Lorelai says some of those things, but directly to Emily throughout the show.
Yeah.
So I just thought it was really interesting, like parallel. All right, so the party keeps going or gets going, and
Yeah, it's officially started because they were there talking about it when they're doing the setup. It's Lorelai does the, geez, mom, leave some servants for the rest of the neighborhood.
yeah,
Kind of.
yeah. So the party gets going, and you realize right away that it's mostly older people. It's mostly Emily and Richard's friends.
It's, yeah, literally not a single one of Rory's actual friends. Not a single person from Stars Hollow, not Lane, not a single person that she has any connection to.
Right. Nobody that Rory is actually interested in. But Lorelai runs into someone named Mitzi, who is just the epitome of everyone you never want to run into. She's working on her rudeness and failing.
And being singularly the most rude that you can possibly be to the waitstaff with that finger snap would make my blood boil. As
a waitress, I've been snapped at. And let me tell you, you want to know how easy it is to get your waitress to ignore you and ask people to spit in your food? That'll do it.
You've never actually spit in someone's food. I don't want to get sued. So you've never actually done that.
No, but that is what is going through my mind when you snap it.
No, you'll ignore the hell out of them for the rest of their time at the restaurant and never come back other than for the bill.
Yeah, like, oh, you needed a drink refill 10 minutes ago? Oh my goodness, I must have been so busy. Don't care.
It's time for me to take my break or my lunch break.
I put on my jacket and leave.
Yeah.
Bye. Don't care. I forgot to tell somebody to take over my table. Oh my God.
That's such a shit. Yeah. But just inexcusably bad behavior. Like,
yeah, she's awful. And she's asking these really intimate questions about Lorelai's pregnancy and where Christopher is and like how involved is he.
It's that odd. She's asking these questions like she is entitled to ask them because they have known each other a long time, even though they don't know each other well. It's length of time knowing someone is not an excuse to ask those questions. If you're best friends with the person and you've been actively engaged in your life, I mean, you won't have to ask those questions. You've been there for it.
Right.
So it's just kind of one of those things where you haven't put any of the work in to entitle yourself to ask those questions.
Yeah. And I think she was also doing it for her own entertainment almost.
Yeah.
It's like, she was bored at the party too. And the scandal girl is here. So let's get some juice, like it was awful. So I don't actually know why that scene was in there. I think it was more just to show how much Lorelai hates that life and how much she wants to be apart from it. But
like, that's the next closest person to Rory in age, which is insane because it's her mother's friend or schoolmate.
Until we see the room of Chilton kids that we see for 0.5 seconds. But after this scene, Lorelai and Rory are sitting together in a chair, and Rory mentions that she's drinking a Shirley Temple, and Lorelai says she's drinking a Shirley Temple Black, and says something to the effect of here's your good ship lollipop right here.
I've got your good ship lollipop right here.
Yes. Yep. So that's an odd reference. It's tying together the name of the drink, Shirley Temple, and
ironically, it's also tying the name of the drink to the person twice.
Is it?
So she was born Shirley Temple, but then her new married name is now Shirley Temple Black.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So it's the same person referenced twice. Once when she was a child and can't drink, and then as an adult where presumably she has something stronger in that Shirley Temple.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that. So to start with, in case people don't know what a Shirley Temple is, do you know how to make a Shirley Temple?
I could Google it. I've had them before. It's like Sprite and a whole bunch of other things. There's
well, so according to the internet, it's Sprite and grenadine. For me, it was always Sprite and cherry juice.
Yeah,
with,
it's
with cherries, like a lot of cherries. But that was like the thing that you had like growing up because you couldn't have like alcoholic drinks. You always
it's
had
that thing that made you feel kind of like an adult because it's not just a I'll have a Coke or a Pepsi
yeah.
or a Sprite
I
or
still like Shirley Temples.
yeah. Do you know that Shirley Temple doesn't like Shirley Temples?
Does she not?
No, she thinks they're too sweet.
Well, I mean, they're literally
sugar-
cherry juice is sugar water.
It's sugar with more sugar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't blame
Which
her.
is why kids love them.
Yeah. So the Shirley Temple Black is insinuating that Lorelai has rum in it, I believe.
Just liquor in general, vodka, rum, something that mixes well with soda.
And Good Chip Lollipop. Why do you think she referenced that? Now, if people don't know, that song is from the movie Bright Eyes with Shirley Temple. But we watched the music video for that. And, whoa.
You said that I don't think it has aged particularly well.
I don't think Shirley Temple's career has aged particularly well, if I'm being honest. And it's not her fault. She is talented and adorable. And I don't know what happened as she got older, but
she was the prototypical child star. Like that's the whole.
I have dark feelings about this, so I'm going to try and really censor myself here. But I don't think that movie was about her being adorable, and we should note that the music video has no women in it for a reason. So this song I only listened to this once, so of course I'm just going off of one listen.
Yep.
But it felt very much like it was a song about someone having to put up appearances because she's getting a stomach ache from eating a bunch of candy, but she still has to like keep the show must go on. She needs to keep performing, and all of these men are waiting on her performance and propping her up. And I feel like it was very much about keeping up performances, and it felt to me like that reference might mean that Lorelai is trying to keep up appearances while she's at this party, and Rory needs to do the same. And that drink is going to help Lorelai do that. But that was like only one listen to the song, so I could have this wrong. So I'm curious your thoughts.
In no world today, in today's day and age, in no world would you allow a young girl to be on a train by herself without any kind of guardian with just men. Like,
nope.
Just, it would not ever happen.
Nope.
Not ever.
No. And it's just that the framing of that video is very uncomfortable. I'll just say that. And if you ever want to watch a Shirley Temple documentary, prepare to be horrified. Is all I'm going to say.
If you're wanting to watch that music video, don't.
Yeah. What do you think the reference meant in this situation?
I think it's the little bit of if I'm gonna be forced to be here, I'm not gonna be forced to be here sober. You can't make me endure this without a drink. Like that, I have to have something in me to make this even remotely bearable.
That's fair.
Because
I'll take that.
Yeah,
we've all been in those situations. I mean, I don't drink, but I've definitely been in situations where I'm like,
you have had to drink in the past.
Yeah. In the past, I used to have butternut schnapps shots that I would have in the back room when I was having social gatherings and take a shot here and there just to take off the edge. So we've all done it. We've all had those moments. From here, you see Grandpa doing some shop talk, and they're all giving the obligatory birthday cards to Rory. Like they obviously don't know her, but they all.
It was almost like the Godfather, where they're handing the check to the bride on her wedding day, going, "Tell your father that I love him and respect it." Like it's very much that kind of feel to that scene.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've all had those moments where we've gotten like some birthday card from like some person we've never literally interacted with before, but you had to.
Well, it's always weird to get a card or a gift from someone that is under normal circumstances not obligated to give you a gift. Like I got a gift from my second grade teacher once, and it was just kind of bizarre. Like it's like, what? Like nice, thank you, but it's just uncomfortable.
I literally just had a thought while I was listening to you. So one side of my family is similar to the Emily Gilmore family in terms of the way they act, not in terms of money. I wish. But I would think then if I had obligatory birthday cards from somebody on that side, the expectation would be that immediately following, I would need to write out thank you cards to all these people that I've never met before, because you can't just say thank you in person. That's not what Miss Manners would say. You must write a card as well. So I picture there should have been an additional scene with all of the thank you notes that she obviously had to write out because there's no way Emily Gilmore lets her get away with this.
No, the fact that she was rude and didn't give a speech is
That's
already a bridge too far. She's then having to sit down and spend hours writing thank yous.
to people she doesn't even know. Yeah, absolutely. But yes, as you mentioned, she does have a bit of a moment. So Rory is told to go say hello to her Chilton friends, and they're in this one room. And she goes in there and they're like, who is she? And then one of the guys goes, I think this is her party. And she just like snaps. She's just like, this is not it. Like, I don't want to be
She
here.
isn't walking out the front door.
Yeah. She tries to leave and she runs into Tristan.
Oh God. For the love of God, get a job on One Tree Hill and never be on the show again. Just leave. No one wants you on the show.
No, and he's awful in this scene. So he's walking in and he's like, ooh, you're here to greet me. And she's already upset and he's going on. And she's basically like, look, dude, you don't even like me. You just want to prove that I'll go out with you. And it's gross. But
she's saying, go kick rocks. And he's not taking, it's not even a hint. She's outright saying, I don't like you to your face.
Well, he enjoys it. He enjoys the hunt. And so every time she denies him, he's like, "Ooh, this is fun," which is gross.
Well, because he's never experienced that. It's just like Jared Padalecki. Like they've never actually been rejected by a woman in their life. Like, come on.
I mean,
no, they haven't.
Chad Michael Murray. I mean, come on.
That's what I'm saying.
Woo!
They have not ever actually faced rejection in their real lives. Like.
But she has a savage line where Richard walks up and he's like, hey, Rory, who's your friend? She's like, I don't know, but this is Tristan. I'm like, yeah.
Can I just say that she is, well, in this case, she's intentionally mean, but she has some savage lines in this. And one of them is coming up and it's just spectacular.
And the delivery is great.
Yeah.
Like she really like.
I mean, I don't know, but this is Tristan.
It's just great. But in that scene, Richard ends up talking to Tristan, find out, no shock, that Richard knows his grandfather. And he's basically like, I approve of your friends, even though this guy is very clearly trying to get into your granddaughter's pants against her will. And you're like, but he has a good grandfather, which is just, it's just
he has a grandfather with a very stupid name.
Oh,
Janlin.
Yeah. Janlin.
Whose name is Janlin?
They all have dumb names.
Yeah. There's so many stupid names.
One of the names, like, as they're walking out was like Lisa or something like that.
Mitzi, Janlin. What's Digger's family's name? They're all stupid.
I know Styles, but I can't. Yeah, we'll get there. I don't remember all the names. But yeah, they're ridiculous names, but it's also proof that at this point, they still care more about how they appear and keeping up with all the people in their circle than they do
keeping up with the Joneses.
Granddaughter. Yeah. More about that than their own granddaughter. Like,
yep.
He couldn't see that she was uncomfortable and she was upset. He was more concerned about the fact that, like, oh, somebody more in my circle you're talking to. Like, even though she's clearly angry, like, she doesn't look happy, but he didn't even faze him, didn't even notice. So from there, she ends up going into the other room, like, leaving Tristan behind, and you see that Paris has been there and is
a great moment of acting by Liza Wheel. Without any lines, she does a very good job of showing the kind of helpless, unrequited affection that you have in high school for someone that doesn't give you the time of day.
And you start having that moment of like, oh, Paris, like, he is not, like, you're better than that. And at this point, we have no reason to feel that way, but I know I feel that way.
This is the moment that humanizes her on the show where you actually feel bad for Paris.
Yeah,
like, this is the one moment where she's a person.
Yeah, I mean, because Tristan is so bad that even her, we can't wish that on her.
I wouldn't wish Tristan on anybody.
Yeah.
Like, he's the type of person that needs to be taken care of in a mob sense. Like, he needs to be taken out somewhere so he can never hurt somebody and then just never sees the light of day again.
Yeah. I think the writers did a really good job, though, of making him bad enough that was going to be enough for the audience members to start being like, you know what, this Paris girl, maybe I should give her some slack, because like this, no, not that.
Well, I think that's just a singular moment that every person can relate to, because we've all had that moment of, why doesn't that person like me?
Oh, of course.
And
it's always the person that you look back and you're like, oh,
thank God.
Why?
Thank God.
Yeah. Like, I'm so glad I got out of that scenario. But so Rory's really upset in this, and she ends up going back and talking to Lorelai and Emily. And Emily's like, "Hey, you got to give a speech. You gotta say thank you to everybody that came." And Rory has had enough. She is like, "This is
Well, at what point is this on Rory to give a speech when she was not told in advance to prepare remarks, not any, like, you don't just ask someone to give a speech in front of a bunch of people
no."
without any notice. Like,
I first of all, I'd leave. Like, I'm just saying, if anyone asked me
well,
to give a speech,
she
bye.
did leave. She
Yeah,
went,
essentially.
she escaped to her mom's room.
Yeah, but
But-
she basically said, like, "I'm not the host. You are. They're your friends. They're not mine. I didn't want this party. Like, you can do it. Like, and you know what? Go, girl.
Yeah,
Like,
fair play. Like, that's fair.
it's
Yeah.
fair. Like, we've seen the guests. They're not your guests. Like, and Emily then turns and blames Lorelai and says, "Your daughter has no manners." And it's like,
They are 50 years outside of being her guests.
exactly. And of course, Emily blames Lorelai. So Lorelai is just like, I don't even know what's going on. Like, how could this be my fault? But, that's just what Emily does. And from there, Rory goes into Lorelai's room, and we see the inside of Lorelai's room, I think, for the first time.
Well, it pans up from the dollhouse. We don't even see the room until
True.
we see the dollhouse first, which is
Which is
going
the
to-
infamous dollhouse.
the infamous dollhouse,
Yeah.
which I don't even want another price tag on the one that they bought.
It was still in
Yeah.
glass, as she said.
Well, so I looked up expensive dollhouses because I was curious, and take a guess as to what the price tag is on a custom made, smaller than that dollhouse.
Like $500.
No, you're not even in the right tax bracket.
Oh, 1,000?
For Richard and Emily's only child, how much do you think they spent on their only child?
You can't spend more than $1,000 on a dollhouse.
Oh, yes, you
My
can.
parents were like upset about American Girl dolls that I kept getting that were like $100. So
You're not even in the right ballpark.
how much?
$33,000.
I could buy multiple cars with that.
Yeah, you could buy. Yeah, it's more expensive than both of our cars combined.
That's just okay. Well, did your sisters have dollhouses?
Not like that. They might have had like smaller ones.
Yeah, I had I don't even remember. I had a small one. It was on wheels, and I really liked it, but I'm pretty sure they got rid of it. It was really cool though. It was wood, and yeah, it was really.
They
cool.
had Polly Pockets. I don't know if that counts as a dollhouse.
We all had.
it's
Polly Pockets.
it's a small dollhouse, I guess, technically.
Well, but you pointed out that the dollhouse looks a lot like Lorelai's house.
It really kind of does. I mean, it's not an exact replica, but it is very reminiscent of the actual house that she wound up with. And I want to know if that was intentional. I need to talk to somebody that was in charge of the props and why they went with that dollhouse.
If you're a prop person on Gilmore Girls,
Yeah.
reach out. But yeah, like I'm curious if there was kind of a thought of like, maybe this was where she did a lot of like, escaping reality when she was there at the Gilmore house. And so this was kind of like her outlet. So maybe it kind of brought her comfort to have a home that was similar to that.
So, question for you related to the dollhouse.
Uh-huh.
How would you ever get to sleep with that many creepy dolls
Oh my gosh.
in that room?
There's so many dolls in that room. Like, I don't even in the wallpaper.
Nope. I would
It's awful.
I would never be able to sleep in that
No.
room. There's literally a commercial about a creepy hotel with a bunch of dolls, and it looks like her room.
Yeah. It does not look like anything I would want to be in.
It's not a teenage girl's room. It's
No.
not. It's a 5-year-old girl's room that is then not allowed to be a teenager.
Yeah, and when they pan out from the dollhouse, you see that there's more of Lorelai's things from her childhood there. There's posters there. There's Duran Duran, the Wild Boys, I don't know what that is, and
Echo and the Bunnyman.
Echo and the Bunnyman. So we know right off the bat that Emily has not changed Lorelai's room. This is Lorelai's room, and I think Lorelai mentions in the scene that it's been frozen in time, and it made me wonder, what is, like, we're about Lorelai's age, a little bit older, but let's not talk about that. What does your childhood room look like now? And like, did it go through iterations? Because it sounds like Lorelai's didn't.
My room definitely went through iterations. So for a long time, my brother and I had to share a room
That's unfortunate.
because
Sorry.
we're only about 2 years apart. So they just said, "Yep, 2 boys. They're gonna figure it out. Bunk beds, the whole 9." And I finally got my own room. It was not frozen in time. I think they were rearranging that room to repurpose it as I was stepping through the front door to leave for college. I don't think they let me leave the house before they started moving things, which my parents then apologized for because I'm from a large family, and a few years later after that, I was either just about to graduate college or just graduated, and my sister was going to college for the first time, and they at her school had a whole orientation process for the parents, and they said, please don't change their room because it's going to make it harder for them to adjust when they come home. Please leave it as it is. And they're like, well, that ship has sailed. That would have been good to know
Yesterday.
before we sent off 2 kids to college.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
sorry.
at least they learned. It's being a parent is all about learning and growing, and you turned out fine. So I don't think this stunted your growth too much. I mean, I had a similar scenario where I don't have a big family, but I moved out quite young, and my room was like right next to my parents' room, so it wasn't like the hot room, but yet people ended up in there. My brother ended up moving in there with his wife at one point. I think my sister ended up in there at one point, and now it's a yoga studio slash guest room for when people stay for extended periods of time. It's a very strange room. My closet stayed frozen in time for a very long time. Like, I mean, people were telling me about things they were pulling out of my closet that I wish I didn't know about, like old costumes. I had an old first communion dress in there. Like, just weird stuff kept getting pulled out of there because no one wanted to clean the closet, even though they were reusing my room.
Hmm.
But yeah, so like, didn't stay in time. I don't even think my parents thought about it. They were just like, "Oh, you're gone. Bye-bye."
No, the only reason that her room stays the way it is one, they have the space. 2, Richard and Emily are trying to cling to the person that she was before she got pregnant. Even though they both love Rory, I would say possibly even more than Lorelai because she's in their eyes more the child they wish they had.
They're her second chance.
Yeah.
She's their second chance.
So while I think that they love Rory unconditionally, they're still wanting to hold on to that time, which is why the dolls are there, because it's not really a teenager's room.
Mm.
It's that time before she became an adult at 16.
Yeah. No, I think that's fair. But to the parents out there, don't change your kids' rooms. It's traumatizing.
Yeah, like the day I moved out.
Yeah.
The day.
And we still remember. So
Oh yeah.
it was at least noticed. Let's just say that. It was noticed. But in the room, Lorelai is kind of telling her how she remembers last time she was in this room, and you find out that the last party that she had was also her 16th birthday party, which I think was interesting parallel that Rory's 16th birthday party and Lorelai's 16th birthday party, they end up in a fight.
They went badly for different reasons.
Well, yeah, I don't think Rory's pregnant, so there's that. But yes,
Well, it's bad. They went badly for different reasons.
Yeah.
So it's kind of history has a tendency to repeat itself.
Yeah, that I can agree with. I did want to ask, did you actually look up any of the posters that were in the room? Like, were you curious at all about Echo and the Bunnyman, for example, or
I
the
did.
Wild Boys?
The Echo and the Bunnyman I did. It's a band from Liverpool that was created in the late 70s, 1978.
Has to be punk, right?
It
seems like
they're like new age punk. So
Okay.
they're very much in that style of 80s music because they started in the late 70s. So they're very much a very weird sound.
Mm. There's a lot of weird music in this episode.
And a weird music videos. There's a man in a horse unicorn get up. It's really bizarre.
Interesting. So I have some viewing to watch. We have a lot of tasks to do before the next episode.
Well,
Lemonheads.
that's not even the weirdest song in this because we didn't talk about Happy Birthday.
Yes. So if you don't know, throughout this episode, in the last segment that we already talked about, in the scene in this segment where Lane and Rory are at Luke's, and then also I think it's when the Stars Hollow group gets together for the birthday party later on, there's this song playing. And it's weird in the show, so I had to look it up. But it's called Happy Birthday and it's by Altered Images. And it's weird. Like, it's a punk song, and it's Happy Birthday, but it's very hard to understand, and it's also just it has like this ethereal, like weird. I don't know. Can you describe it? It's weird. It's weird.
It's very reminiscent of Echo and the Bunnyman.
Is it?
To be honest, like they both have a very similar sound to them. Like
And
it's
the music video is also very weird.
yeah, they're both kind of like artistic to be artistic for the music video. It's kind of they're trying to push the envelope and be avant-garde, kind of change the expectations and make you think that the video is more important than it is.
I mean, it's still. I found it very cool, and it's in my head now. I've been singing it since we started listening to it, so it's stuck in my head. But
Please stop.
no. But if you need some music to listen to, those are some fun things. But after this, Emily shows up in the room and basically wants them to come back out into the party. The party starts wrapping up, and you can see that Emily is not going to get over this. Rory invites Emily to her party at Stars Hollow. Finally, like, I mean, how this didn't happen originally and avoid all of these problems, I do not know. But she does invite her, and Emily basically says, "Nah, I'm busy. No." And Lorelai is like, "Okay, we're not going to do this." So she sends Rory out to get presents.
They couldn't have had an episode without her not agreeing to change Friday night dinner to a Friday night party in Stars Hollow.
I mean, yes, it is plot moving forward, plot development, whatever we want to call it. But also, it's just like, just invite your grandmother to your house.
Yeah, it's that moment when shows that makes you go, just fix the problem in this. We wouldn't have to sit here and watch the problem. It's from my perspective, it's like being married because you don't want. You don't want.
It's gonna be on the record.
Women don't want a solution when there's an obvious solution. They want you to commiserate. They want you to agree that the situation is bad, which is very hard to conceptualize. And you see that on television shows when you're like, you want to reach into the TV and go, just do the easy answer.
Is that how you feel when we're trying to work through a problem and I don't want an answer?
No.
Is that I'm just wondering, is there like am I supposed to be taking something from this?
Looking back on this, on advice of counsel, I refuse to answer.
I mean, I see your parallels. I vehemently disagree, but I'm not going to put that on a podcast. So I will just say that, yes, it is one of those moments when you're watching TV and you're like, ooh, you know what? You could have just avoided all this by not doing that. That's, the situation that could have happened. I don't see it as something that would happen in a marriage, but, I guess we see things differently. So,
well, it's like that moment. It's less so this way, but in the old movies where people like miss each other and like they can't connect and they don't have cell phones, and you're like, just call the person and it's just make a phone call. But then
I have one we can agree on. Ready? It's like in a horror movie when they run upstairs when the serial killer has just walked in the door, and you're like, what are you doing? Don't run up the stairs. If you just didn't run up the stairs, then we wouldn't have the situation where you're trying to figure out how to get out of the house, but you can't because you're upstairs.
Or run upstairs, and then as the person runs up the stairs, push an armoire down the stairs on them. Like that's a very easy to kill a person kind of thing where it's just like, and the cabinet.
Right. There's plenty of other options. So it's like that.
Yeah.
But in this scene, Lorelai ends up going and talking to Emily and being like, you know what? Your granddaughter just invited you to her birthday party and you said no. Like, she needs you there. She needs you to accept her apology, and she needs you to show up for her. And Emily is basically like, look, I threw an entire party for her. I spent all this money. I planned all of this. I spent all this time to do this party for her, and she didn't even appreciate it. She made me feel stupid in front of all my friends.
Well, it's a disconnect. Emily doesn't understand that that's not what she wanted. She thinks, I did this nice thing. Even if it wasn't received well, I did the nice thing. It's not my fault that it wasn't received well.
Yes.
Which that's
and
not.
Now, who do you agree with in this scenario?
Oh, Lorelai is right in this. She is fighting for her kid, which she's done a few times where she yelled at Max and the headmaster. She loses her cool when it's about Rory,
and as she should in this.
Yeah,
scenario.
it's the mama bear. It's just I'm going to murder you for being mean to my kid.
Yeah, and I mean, so I think the one thing I'll say is from Emily's perspective, she did something nice for Rory, but it very much shows that she doesn't understand who Rory is. And Lorelai is right when she says you don't even know her, because this is not something that she did for Rory. This is something she did to show off Rory to her friends.
Well, she did something that was in theory nice for Rory in a way that is nice for her.
Yeah.
So she has co-opted something that is presumably supposed to be a gift or a celebration of her granddaughter, and she's made it not about her granddaughter. She's twisted it.
It's like when you're a kid and your parents have a birthday party for you, and really it's all your parents' friends, and it's not your friends. Like, you don't actually get to invite your friends from school because your parents don't want to do that.
Oh,
They
my
just want,
parents
like, your
always
family
let me
members.
do that. Like,
Oh, well.
well, some of us
Different
had
childhoods.
some of us had parents that loved us and did the right thing as parents.
I mean,
Sometimes to their detriment. I remember one time, because my brother and I are very close in age. We're 2 years and 2 days apart. So we had a joint birthday party, and my parents, God love them, allowed each of us to invite the number of friends that we were old in years to the
Oh.
party. So I got to invite 10 friends. My brother got to invite 8 friends.
Oh, no, that's too many. That's
So
too many kids. Too many kids.
28 to 10-year-olds in a house at the same time.
Oof.
And that happened once and only once, and never again.
Well, in the next episode, I will tell you my most horrifying birthday story that I still remember, where I did have friends over, and it led to some scenarios that I don't think anybody would like memorialize, so I won't use names. So make sure you come back for that, because I will.
Well, that's gonna end on a low.
I will start the episode with an anecdote that you guys can hear about, because that was a birthday that I will never forget. So I think that's the whole episode or section. We are ending with the last episode of Rory's birthdays, and then we have a really, really cool episode coming up. It's going to be special and different, and not about a recap. I'm not going to say exactly what yet, just in case like we fail this miserably and it goes poorly. But be expecting that. It's in not next week, but the week after. And yeah, I'm very, very excited and really, really, really nervous. So make sure that you are subscribed. You have all of your notifications on, because you're definitely going to want to see this if we don't mess it up royally. So I'm really excited. But that is everything we have.
Thank you all for listening.